Warning, this podcast contains themes of extreme violence and murder. Subject matter may be offensive to some listeners. Discretion advised.
Welcome to another episode of Evil Transgression, your homicide headquarters here in podcasting. I'm Josh, and with me as always, Dustin and Rex.
What's going on?
Hey, what's up?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm here. How about you, Rex?
How's Rex doing?
Terrible. If you guys can't tell, I've got a cold. Everybody in the house has gotten it, so
he's got
times.
cold vid.
Yeah, cold vid.
Cold vid.
So we'll all have it by next episode.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you do sound rough.
I know, man.
But I think you should do this whole episode because those voices are real deep.
Oh, yeah.
The ladies are just loving it.
And then Dustin's like, hey,
what's up, guys?
hey, what's up?
Leave me alone.
Today's episode is, we got a sponsor, correct?
We do.
Do we?
Who is it?
It's Mitchell.
Thick Mitch.
I like it.
Really?
Thick Mitch.
That's where you go with that?
Yeah. My son has a friend, his name's Mitchell, and we call him Thick Mitch. So
Good deal.
that's where it came from.
Well, Mitchell, you got yourself a new nickname. So,
Thank you, Mitch.
Yeah, thanks.
thanks.
Anybody see the new Sopranos movie yet?
No.
No.
I have.
What? Like, is it on HBO or?
Yeah.
Really?
HBO Max.
What? And I've got that too.
Awesome.
So is it like leave, or does it start where it left off, or?
No, this is like the precursor.
Oh, okay.
This is like Tony Soprano's a kid,
Interesting.
and then he goes into his teenage years.
But it's just a movie, it's not a series?
Yeah, just a movie.
Huh, yeah, we're gonna have to watch that.
I did see the new Addams Family movie.
Did you?
Is it a cartoon?
Yes.
Did you
Pretty
enjoy
good. Pretty good.
I'm disturbed.
Well, I have kids.
it? Yeah, that's why.
It's a good movie, though.
I mean, I was trying to talk about like a movie that's got like crime and evil.
He goes to cartoons.
And you're like, the Addams Family. It's a really great movie.
Hello. Do you know who they are?
No, we don't.
Yeah.
They're creepy and they're kooky.
Yeah.
And they're all together spooky.
Yeah. Thank you. They're evil.
He's creepy.
Yeah.
And spooky.
Whatever.
So, you guys ready to jump right into this one?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
This is exciting for me because I know Dustin's blood pressure is going to go up. Because this is one of the ones that Dustin
Oh, yeah.
will be furious over.
Sweet.
And with that being said, we also have to give the good old disclaimer of there will be some discussion about violence to children in this episode.
It's never good.
Which, if that's not your thing, you might want to wait till next week. And now, for everybody that stuck around, I think Dustin was looking at me like he was getting ready to leave,
I know,
too.
he's like, I'll be back next week.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the end of the episode. So buckle up, Evil Mob, as we discuss Westley Allen Dodd. Westley Allen Dodd was born on July 3rd, 1961 in Richland, Washington, to parents Jim and Carol Dodd. Wesley was the oldest of 3 children to the couple. He claimed growing up that his parents favored his younger siblings over him, and he was abused emotionally and physically by his father. Dodd's parents often had violent fights that were pretty bad, so home life is crap. In school, Westley Dodd did not fit in with the other kids, so he was left out of any social groups with no friends. When Westley Dodd was 9 years old, he found himself attracted to other boys. Just a few years later, when Dodd was 13 years old, the real problem started. Westley Dodd began exposing himself to other children in his neighborhood. His father found out about what he was doing, but ignored it because he felt his son was, quote, an otherwise well-behaved child who never had problems with drugs, drinking, or smoking.
What?
I mean, that makes sense because your kid doesn't drink or do drugs. He should show his dong to the other kids in the neighborhood. It's okay.
Wow, yeah. That's what was on my mind.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. He doesn't drink or smoke. So what if he's helicoptering the neighbors? Just some people, man, their train of thoughts, like in these stories we covered.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing.
It is.
This is why some kids suck. Because their parents always make excuses for them.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't drink or smoke.
Yeah, so you can get away with that.
Yeah.
When Westley Dodd got out of high school, his behavior got even worse. He would progress to molestation, first starting with his younger cousins, and then children from his neighborhood that he would babysit. Not the babysitter that you want to have.
No. And again, I blame the dad for letting him get away with the first half of the things he was doing, you know?
Right.
But again, if this kid's walking around the neighborhood flashing everybody, I'm sure word's out like, you don't want the Dodd kid watching your kids. And they're like, I really got to go to work, though.
Make smarter choices, parents.
Yes. He even molested a child of a woman his father was, quote, dating on the side.
What?
On Westley Dodd's 15th birthday, July 3rd, 1976, his father tried to commit suicide after an argument with his wife. Happy birthday, kiddo.
Yeah.
It's your 15th birthday and your dad's going to try and kill himself.
That's crappy.
Yeah.
Just think about it. That's how much your dad doesn't like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same year, Westley Dodd would be arrested for indecent exposure.
Surprise.
He was, however, released based on the recommendation of juvenile counseling. This is where Dustin tells us his thoughts on rehabilitating a sex offender.
Yeah, tell us.
It doesn't work. They should always be executed.
Also, keep in mind he's 15.
And?
Okay. At 20 years old, in August of 1981, Westley Dodd tried to kidnap 2 young girls. They escaped and reported him to the authorities. No action was taken. Because why would you want someone like that off the street?
Oh, I know.
You should have never been released in the first place.
Right.
If you would have punished him then.
Okay, but up until this point, he was technically a minor. Juvenile.
Yep.
Right.
We're talking 20 years old now. And you tried to kidnap 2 girls. You get arrested and they're like, we're going to let you go.
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
A month later, in September, Dodd joined the U.S. Navy. He gets stationed in Bangor, Washington at a submarine base. On the base, he began abusing some of the children who actually lived on the base as well.
Wow.
I mean, that's pretty freaking bold.
Yeah.
You're on a military base. He wasn't arrested until he offered a group of young boys $50 to come to a room he had gotten at a motel to play a game of strip poker.
What?
So he's arrested and even confesses that his intentions are to molest the boys, and he gets released with no charges filed.
How? This kills me.
Because of no charges, he gets to stay in the U.S. Navy. I mean, do we still do things this stupid nowadays? Like, I don't know. I'm just asking, like, if that happened nowadays, and the U.S. Navy knows about it, because I'm sure they have to know. If you get arrested, they're gonna know.
Right. Yep.
Where they'd be like, "Oh, he's cool. Don't worry about it."
I don't know how anybody would be okay with that.
No.
Right.
Like, I'm pretty sure there's one thing that we don't agree on a lot of stuff. A lot of people, you know.
Yep.
Everybody has their different opinions on things, but I'm pretty sure we can all agree that pedophiles suck.
Right.
So we should all be on board with, you know,
castration.
Yes, giving them the harshest of the harshest punishment.
I know where you're at on this.
Yep.
Not long after that, he gets caught exposing himself to a boy and gets arrested. This time, he spends 19 whole long days in jail.
Wow, he's rehabilitated now.
And he has to undergo court-ordered counseling. He is also discharged from the Navy for this one.
Oh, so that finally did it, huh?
Yeah. In May of 1984, Dodd was arrested again for molesting a 10-year-old boy this time. This time, his sentence gets suspended.
What?
Is your blood boiling yet, parents? If not, it will be. Dodd then moves into an apartment block that is surrounded by families with children. It was like a candy shop for a child molester like Westley Dodd. Now keep in mind that this is the early to mid 1980s, and many sex offender laws really don't exist to much of an extent. I mean,
yeah.
For example, in Washington state, it wasn't until February 28th of 1990 that the Community Protection Act of 1990 was passed, making anyone convicted of any sex offense register as a sex offender.
How do you wait that long?
I mean, child molestation and sexual offenses have been around since the beginning of time.
Right.
It took thousands of years to get to this point.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. I mean, even, 100 years ago? I mean, people were getting married at 13, 14.
Yeah,
you know, now that's very taboo, so it just, took them a while to catch up.
So, I mean, he's in Washington state, so none of these laws are really existent until years later in 1990.
Right.
That meant Dodd could stay where he wanted, work where he wanted, pretty much do whatever he wants. He worked at fast food restaurants and even as a charity truck driver. So within this apartment complex, Dodd continues his evil ways. He repeatedly molested the preschool-aged children of a neighbor. The mother finds out but declines to press charges because she feared it would be too traumatic for her children.
What?
You know what's more traumatic than that?
Letting it continue?
Being molested and nobody doing anything.
Right.
Take note, parents. Don't be stupid. Protect your children. In 1987, Dodd was arrested yet again after trying to lure a boy into a vacant building so he could molest him. The boy ran away and the police were notified. Because of his past history of sexual crimes, the prosecutors on the case recommended 5 years in prison. But, once again, justice was slapped on the lip with a big old fat one, and Dodd was put on probation and ordered to seek psychiatric treatment.
Wow.
Probation. Once again, you were trying to lure a child into an abandoned building.
Right.
You're trying to kidnap another child to molest him. And even the prosecutors are like, yo, this guy needs to be put away for at least 5 years. Which 5 years still...
5 years ain't shit.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's better than them saying, we're just going to put you on probation and you need to seek psychiatric treatment.
Yeah.
The reasoning behind this was because Dodd hadn't actually touched the child or exposed himself to him. That was the reasoning. After his probation was over, he stopped seeking treatment and moved to Vancouver, Washington. There, he got a job as a shipping clerk. But not long after being in Vancouver, Washington in 1989, Dodd discovered a place where he could find the perfect victims for his sick crimes. This place was David Douglas Park. David Douglas Park is a place that holds several community events and has several Little League baseball fields, even to this day. There are also many heavily wooded areas with secluded trails. And Westley Dodd used this park to his advantage. For the next couple of years, Dodd was arrested several times for child molestation, each time only serving minimum jail sentences and given court-ordered therapy. In all, around 50 children fell victim to Dodd.
Wow.
All of them below 12 years old and as young as 2.
What?
So the 50 kids isn't enough to put you away forever?
No.
Unbelievable.
Now, most of these victims were boys. Not that that matters. A child is a child.
Yeah.
Right.
Over time, Dodd's mentality began to change and he became more excited at the thought of murdering a young boy. On September 4th, 1989, two brothers, 11-year-old Cole Neer and 10-year-old William Neer, were at Vancouver's David Douglas Park. Westley Dodd spotted two boys and lured them into a secluded area of the park. Armed with a fish fillet knife and shoelaces, Dodd forced them to undress, tied them to a tree, and performed sexual acts on both of them.
Wow.
He then stabbed them several times with the knife and fled the scene. The boys were quickly found. Cole was pronounced dead at the scene, and William passed en route to a nearby hospital. After news of the killings hit the papers, Westley Dodd started his own little scrapbook where he kept clippings that talked about the murders he had committed.
That is sick.
On October 29th, 1989, Dodd had traveled to Portland, Oregon, where he stopped at a local park. He noticed two boys playing there, 4-year-old Lee Azalea and his 9-year-old brother Justin Azalea. When Justin left his 4-year-old brother at the park and walked home, Dodd approached Lee. He convinced Lee that he would drive him home from the park and the boy went with him. I don't know why you leave a 4-year-old at the park by himself.
Yeah, exactly.
And granted, the 9-year-old that did it probably doesn't know any better, but...
Right.
And it's 1989, and things were a little bit different than they are now, and, you know, in our day and age, but
True.
It's not like it was centuries ago.
Right.
I got a 6-year-old, and I don't even let her play out front by herself.
Well, we live in different times.
I don't trust these crazy bastards.
Nope.
So, Westley Dodd managed to take Lee back to his apartment in Vancouver, Washington, where he made the boy undress, tied him to a bed, and molested him, taking photos of what he was doing to the boy.
Wow.
He continued to abuse the boy overnight, making notes in his little diary of what he was doing. So he has a diary and a scrapbook. Like, his scrapbook's got like the photos in it, and
Dude is twisted.
then he's got a diary that he talks about what he does to these kids and what he did in his murders and what he wants to do. And the following morning, he strangled Lee to death with a rope and hung the boy's body in his closet before taking photos for his collection. Westley Dodd put the boy's body in a trash bag and discarded it in a wooded area near Vancouver Lake. He burned the boy's clothing in a trash barrel, but kept his underwear as a souvenir. When Lee's body was discovered a day later, a massive manhunt for the killer took place. During this time, Westley would stay in his apartment to avoid being suspected. He would write more in his diary during this time, his little killer diary, about future plans of kidnapping more children, and he even built a homemade torture rack for future use.
Wow.
So he's staying busy while he's hiding. Finally, on November 13th, 1989, Westley Dodd was ready to make his next move. He traveled to the New Liberty Theater in Camas, Washington, which is about 12 miles from Vancouver, Washington. There, he attempted to abduct a 6-year-old boy from the restroom. He picked the boy up and tried to carry him out of the theater, but the boy's cries and attempts to get away drew the attention of theater employees who followed Dodd out of the theater.
Nice.
Dodd released the boy and ran to his car and drove away. William Ray Graves, the boyfriend of the boy's mother he had tried to kidnap, came to the lobby looking for the boy and was told what had happened. He hurried out of the theater and ran in the direction to which Dodd had fled. Now, I don't know how many of our listeners believe in higher beings, but this is, to me, this is where someone in our universe with higher powers finally steps in and says, enough is enough. It just so happens that as Dodd was fleeing, his car breaks down just down the street from the theater, and he was trying to start his car back up. William Graves catches up to him, but plays it smart. Give this guy credit. He pretends to be just a passerby who stops to help Dodd with his car trouble. I mean, he's just like hurrying down the street, sees this happening. He's like, oh, okay. You know, if I, do anything crazy, he's just going to take off running.
Right.
So he goes up to him like, hey, stinking Chevys, and he gets it to where he gets the opportunity where he's close enough to Westley Dodd. He puts him in a headlock and drags him back to the theater.
Nice.
Where police are called.
it.
Good.
I love it.
Like, just picture this dude dragging somebody down the street in a headlock. Like,
That's perfect.
hey, he gave him a couple shots on the way too.
He's probably talking mad shit.
Oh yeah, I would. For one, and probably the cops would have been called for me. Like, because I'd be like, hey, we got a body right here in the street. But give him credit, man. Like, playing it smart. Like, oh, car trouble, huh? Oh yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? Like getting up to him and then just snatching him up.
Good stuff.
Dodd was interrogated for 3 days before confessing to his 3 murders. A search warrant on his home discovered the torture rack, his kill scrapbook, a briefcase that had Lee Ezeli's underwear inside, photos of Lee hanging in his closet, and a diary that had all the details of his murders.
Good.
They also found several pictures of different children in store catalog underwear advertisements.
Wow.
Westley Dodd was charged with 3 counts of aggravated first-degree murder for the deaths of Cole Neer, William Neer, and Lee Ezeli, plus the attempted kidnapping of a child. I mean, he could have been caught with several kidnappings of children.
Oh, yeah.
All the other ones, there was like, well, he said he was sorry.
Yeah, so let's put him back out on the street.
Originally, Dodd pleaded not guilty to all charges, but later changed that plea to guilty. At the trial, the prosecution read from Dodd's diary and showed the court photographs that Westley Dodd had taken for his scrapbook. Dodd stated that, quote, the system had failed repeatedly. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can all agree on that one.
Oh, yeah.
During his trial, Dodd actually wrote a pamphlet about how parents could protect their children from child molesters like himself. It's pretty odd, right?
Yeah.
This guy created a handbook of what you want to watch out for, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy.
Well, if anybody knows.
Right.
Yep.
Dodd was sentenced to death in 1990. Washington state law at the time gave Westley Dodd the choice in his execution. He could receive lethal injection or death by hanging. Dodd chose hanging, stating that he wanted to die the same way he had killed his youngest victim, Lee Ezeli. He refused to appeal his sentence, claiming he could not control his urges and would kill again if he was ever given the chance. He even said, quote, if I do escape, I promise you, I will kill and rape again, and I will enjoy every minute of it.
Wow.
Dodd's last meal consisted of broiled salmon and fried potatoes. Not my choice.
No, because seafood is disgusting.
No, it's
just not a fan of broiled salmon. It's like, I could think of other things I'd rather have broiled, like a delicious steak.
Ooh, yeah.
Then again, I'm not a child molester, so.
Yeah.
On the 5th of January 1993, less than 4 years after his conviction, how about that, Westley Dodd was walked to the indoor gallows at Washington State Penitentiary in Walla Walla. His final statement, quote, I was once asked by somebody, I don't remember who, if there was any way sex offenders could be stopped. I said no. I was wrong. I was wrong when I said there was no hope, no peace. There is hope. There is peace. I found both in the Lord Jesus Christ. Look to the Lord, and you will find peace.
So he's saying he's now a Christian, huh?
Funny how quick that changes when you
are staring at the end of the rope.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yep.
Well, here's the way it should have stopped, is when he said, yeah, there's only one way to stop a sex offender. There is. By hanging them from a gallows.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where I thought he was going. And he's like, there's hope in Jesus Christ.
Wouldn't that been a fucking great sight to see?
Oh, yeah.
Wesley Dodd hanging from the gallows?
Yeah.
At 12:05 a.m. on January 5th, 1993, Westley Dodd was executed. Medical examiner Donald Ray said Dodd had died quickly, although his neck had not been broken like it almost always is during a hanging. It basically means he was choked to death.
Good.
Yeah. Dodd was cremated and his ashes were given to his family. In 2016, 23 years after Westley Dodd was executed, his younger brother, Gregory Dodd, who was 54 years old at the time, was arrested for trying to coax a 13-year-old girl to have sex with him over the internet.
Hang that motherfucker too.
The 13-year-old girl was actually the police. He was sentenced to 4 years and 3 months in prison.
See, why is the
fined for $3,000 and made to register as a sex offender?
But why is the punishment so low? Like, imagine if that was a real 13-year-old girl.
Right.
Yeah.
Imagine what would have happened.
It very well could have been.
So that's why.
Well, there's two lessons here. The lesson is don't be a scumbag like somebody who's trying to coax a child into your bed, and don't be a parent that allows your young children to play around on the internet.
Yeah.
Right.
And that stuff is really happening. There's sex trafficking everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
There's child molesters everywhere.
I think, I thought I read something saying in Ohio it's been over 100 and something that they stopped recently.
Yes. I mean, they're getting better at stopping it, but still, how many are not being stopped?
Right.
Well, again, like we talked before, they go out and they molest, they'll get 4 or 5 years, and then they're back out again. But if you're selling a bag of weed, you're going to get 40 years.
Right.
Ass backwards.
Yep.
Gregory Dodd now resides in Brandon, Mississippi.
What they should do is they should make a law in this country, just a law for everybody, that if you get caught with a child or trying to lure a child, you automatically get hung, and you'll get hung in the Westley Dodd gallows. We'll call it that, and we'll fucking hang you every time.
Nice.
Every time. There's no excuse for it. There's really not.
Nope.
So
I'm not going to argue with you.
So
I'm sure people out there would argue.
No, you cannot argue with me on that.
I can't, but I'm sure people out there could.
There is no other side of this argument. You cannot.
Do you want me to play the other people for a second? But if he has a mental illness,
no, it doesn't work that way.
Well, what if he was molested as a child?
It doesn't work that way.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Okay.
Right.
That's just my thought on it. If you want, I
really picked this story just to get you fired up. Honestly.
I appreciate that.
If you want to challenge me, go ahead.
Because I'm sure, I hope you get at least 2 comments where they're like, Dustin's mean.
I'm not mean. I just don't like sex offenders.
Well, I don't think anybody likes a sex offender.
No, but that's why you can't argue with me about it. Like, if you think you can, you can't. You lose automatically.
Yeah, they're the worst of the worst.
They are. It doesn't get no worse than that.
Like a sexual predator, or are you? This is a murderer too, a child murderer.
Right. A sex offender, a pedophile, is about as low as it goes.
But what about a pedophile who commits murders? Can you go lower than just a pedophile?
No, you can't.
They're on the same level?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
In my eyes, you can have your own opinion.
No,
that's just how
I'm not allowed to have an opinion. I'm just I'm just on a podcast.
You're just a reader.
Have your opinion.
No, I've learned my lesson. I get the old comment talking to. You guys don't know nothing about the juvenile system.
Well, good thing this ain't nothing about the juvenile system.
I mean, we have covered that.
We have.
Yep.
We could trash the system right now saying how stupid people are to take a sex offender who has repeatedly committed sex crimes over and over and over. I mean, we had over 50 children who were molested by this guy, and he got jail time and probation time and court-ordered bullshit classes and sent back out into the streets so he could continue to abuse children.
Right. The state of Washington should have been sued for every penny by those 3 parents.
Yeah.
Because they did it. That's on them too.
Yeah.
You molest 50 kids and you're still out? Like, how's that make sense?
The system has failed many, many people over many, many years.
I mean, and it's definitely failing right now. Was it Chicago where a dude murdered some people and they just let him out?
You said Chicago and murder. I mean, that you got to be more specific.
Something recently to where I think the mayor's wanting to get the feds involved.
Well, if you have a tiny ass head like the mayor of Chicago, there's not a whole lot of brains in there. So
it's not Beetlejuice's fault she looks like that.
Little tiny head. But that's the story of Westley Allen Dodd. What do you got for me, Rex?
All right. If you haven't done so, go to our Facebook page, give us a like. Any comments, questions, ideas, you can email us at eviltransgression@gmail.com. Dustin?
Go to eviltransgression.com. Check out all the links. Leave us reviews because Apple sucks ass and they keep deleting my reviews. So go check those out. You can also, check out the store, check out everything. And also, the hats will be in 2 weeks.
Really?
Ooh. 2 weeks.
Bang.
Wow.
Boom.
That took my breath away.
They're ordered and they'll be here. So
I have seen
be on the
mock-up
lookout
of these hats, and they're pretty sexy.
Are they? You're going to have to show me. I haven't seen them yet.
Be on the lookout because they're coming. Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
What do you got?
What do I got? I got 2 tickets to Paris.
How did I know that's what you were going to say? I didn't get it out quick enough.
I got to go find a new podcast.
So, with that being said, until next week.
See ya.
See ya.
Peace.